Hey everybody, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today as I take a deeper look into the most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6, Episode 21. I will not be doing a full episode recap as there are plenty of other content creators who do an excellent job covering the show. Instead, I'm going to focus on specific segments of the episode that I believe could be used as teachable moments for myself and the viewers. But before I begin, I wanted to let you guys know that I finally opened up the membership tier for this channel for exclusive content, and more than likely at some point in the very near future I'm going to reopen my Patreon page, because as I get into deeper, more controversial topics about politics and spirituality and sociology and the like, I expect to be deplatformed from YouTube at some point. So starting November 1st, I'll be posting weekly astrology interpretations on the membership tier. On the first, the topic will be the mundane chart for the nation state of Israel. The next week, November 8th, I'll be doing a part 2 for the Tupac Shakur natal chart interpretation, focusing on Mars and its effect on his life and his relationships. And the third week, which is November 15th, I'm going to be doing a reading for Bobby Brown, because his chart is absolutely fascinating. And on November 22nd, I'm going to discuss the lessons of Pluto generationally and individually in the natal chart. So for those of you who are joining the membership tier, thank you in advance. The content has already been recorded because I wanted to make sure that I recorded everything before my birthday next week. So I'll have plenty of time to celebrate and not have to worry about getting these out there. So, okay, now about the show. I'm going to start with a hypothetical scenario that most of us have either witnessed or experienced at some point in our lives, okay? So suppose you had a coworker that you didn't like for whatever petty reason. They annoyed you. And then you became friends with another coworker who also doesn't like the same person that you don't like for whatever reason. And the basis of your relationship or your friendship isn't necessarily your shared dislike for this coworker, but you guys may gossip about this person, and that seems to strengthen the bonds of your friendship. Now, you might assume that your new friend has the same level of dislike for your coworker as you do, but what if you're wrong about that? You may want to see your coworker get reprimanded or embarrassed or make a mistake. But what if your friend wants to see this coworker get fired or hurt or assaulted or even killed? You know, I'm thinking about Keke Jenkins and Shanquella Robinson. You never know the extent to which your friend doesn't like your enemy. And that is why it is dangerous to forge alliances with people based on a shared hatred or dislike for someone. You may not like this coworker because she's a perfectionist, she kisses ass, and she's a know-it-all. But maybe your friend may not like this person because she's pretty, she has long hair, she has a good life, and all the men in the office want to be with her. So her animosity towards this person you don't like is deeper, it is darker, it is more insidious. And I'm speaking hypothetically here. So even though you both don't like her, the why is different. And that's what gets many people in trouble. So in the beginning of this episode, Keke and Melody were eating together, and Keke started to gleefully spill the tea and talk about Marceau cheating on Tisha. And my initial reaction was like, first of all, why are we talking about this again? And second of all, why is this Keke's business? Then I was like, why does Keke sound so happy about telling this nonsense to Melody? If Keke wanted to share this news with Tisha out of the kindness of her heart, she would not sound as happy. She was almost orgasmic when she was speaking to Melody about the potential of Marceau having some sort of threesome or affair on Tisha. So she was really happy that this was happening. She sounded happy this was happening. She didn't sound concerned, like she was in pain or she was fearful or she was empathetic towards Tisha. For Tisha, she didn't sound that way. She sounded happy that this was happening. And that's not even confirmed yet. It's just gossip. As a side note, whoever decided to use those corny ass sound effects to like mask the names, it sounded whack. Like, don't do that again, please. But anyway, Keke looked and sounded like she was happy as hell to hear about her cousin being cheated on, because I think that this kind of takes the attention away from her dealing with the, drug situation that she was recently going through. And since she has a lifelong rivalry with Tisha thanks to their parents, I think she wanted to weaponize this information against Tisha to hurt her, so that Tisha wouldn't think that she's better than her or her life is better than hers because of her addiction issues. And this is why she was so triggered when Tisha ignored her at the barbecue. So I'm going to say this. I don't like the way that Tisha treated Melody while she was going through her divorce. And I honestly still believe that Tisha was secretly jealous or competitive against Melody, because that's the way her mother raised her to be. But Keke was wrong as hell for bullying Tisha the way she did. And I also don't like the way that people have been bullying the members of the cast on this show, which is why I pulled away from it. And I don't even pay attention to the social media drama, because a lot of it is manufactured. And a lot of it is just put out there for views and more drama. So it is disingenuous and counterproductive to create false drama under the guise of, rooting for your favorite on the show. But anyway, a couple of seasons ago, I said that the optics of Melody inviting Keke to her house for the Christmas party looked bad. It looked messy, especially if she knew that they had a falling out, right? And she wasn't cool with Tisha either. Even if Melody didn't have any bad intentions by inviting Keke to her house party, the fact that Keke and Tisha have a long, complicated history made it look like Melody was trying to instigate mess, whether she was or not, okay? And the audience responded to my commentary like, okay, Melody has the right to do whatever she wants in her house. And I said, that's true. That is absolutely true. But actions have consequences, and your actions have to align with the outcomes that you're looking for. So if you don't want mess or drama, don't invite a messy person to your pajama party to discuss her cousin who you also don't get along with. Whether her intentions were bad or not, it still didn't look good. And so if something doesn't look good on TV, it can be misconstrued and misinterpreted and used to attack someone's character. And so you have to be very careful about who you forge alliances with, who you talk to, how you talk about somebody, what you talk about. That's just the nature of TV. Because TV is almost like, it's like a microscope. It doesn't give you context. Unless you have the whole story, you just get sound bites and little clips here and there, and it's heavily edited. So if Melody didn't have any bad intentions, it didn't matter, because Tisha perceived it that way, because that's how Kimmy presented it to her as well. All right. So anyway, if you pay close attention to this episode, and even recent episodes, Tisha is garnering sympathy from the audience by sharing how difficult it is to deal with online bullying from people on social media and the audience. And she's showing her vulnerability and her anxiety and her humanity. And then we see her getting bullied by her own cousin Keke, who is determined to bring Tisha down to her level by triggering her into responding to her bullshit. I've dealt with situations like this before, where miserable, bitter people tried to transfer their negative energy onto me because I refused to engage. And then they usually become more violent and belligerent. The long and short of it is this. Keke is embarrassed about her drug abuse situation, and she's intentionally trying to fuck with Tisha's peace because, Tisha's peace triggers her. Okay? This is why it's very dangerous to reconcile with people who don't like you. And you can tell when someone genuinely doesn't like you when they're looking for excuses to make you feel like crap, even when you're not bothering them. So no, Keke was not trying to help Tisha by exposing Marcel's infidelity. She's using that information as a weapon against her to knock her off her high horse. And, in seasons 1 and 2, Tisha was accusing Melody of doing the same thing. And I do not believe that that was Melody's intention, to be honest. Because up until that point, Melody has been very supportive of Tisha. However, if Melody aligns with Keke and she's close to her, right? And Keke's on this kamikaze, self-destructive warpath mission to destroy her cousin by using her marriage, by using the infidelity against her to make her look bad. And Melody, it continues to have a friendship with her. That can also bleed over onto Melody. The fallout could backfire against Melody, whether that's her intention or not. If the enemy of your enemy is your friend, you have to make sure that this enemy is not a sociopathic, abusive person who's willing to go above and beyond to destroy the person you don't like. Like, you may not want to hurt the person. You may want to see them, embarrassed a little bit or put in their place. But this person that you're aligning with, they may want to destroy their life. And if you're friends with them, people are going to assume that you feel the same way. And it's not true. So Melody's issues with Tisha aren't the same as Keke's issues with Tisha. And if Melody continues to basically hang out with her in a sense and gossip with her about Tisha, it's going to look like they have the same intentions and objectives, and they do not. So I'm going to say this. Melody needs to get the fuck away from Keke, because whatever issues or gripes she has with Tisha is not as deep as jealousy and the animosity that Keke has towards Tisha. And if Melody doesn't openly check Keke for what she did to Tisha, Keke will make Melody look like she hates Tisha as much as she does, which is not true, okay? You have to be careful with who you're friends with. And I think Melody knows this. Melody's a very smart person, and she's also very aware of her brand and her social media platform and her influence. And also, you know, the fact that a lot of her supporters are not really fans of Tisha. However, if Tisha can turn this around and look like the underdog or the victim because she was genuinely being bullied by her own relative, and we can all identify with that. We all have experiences with people in our family and relatives and friends who have bullied us, and now people are more sympathetic to Tisha because of this, and rightfully so. If Melody does not switch things up with Keke and distance herself from her, it can look like Melody is also trying to sully Tisha's name and make her look bad, and it can backfire on her, okay? So yeah, if Tisha becomes the underdog due to the bullying, Melody's brand could take a hit. The people who don't like Melody anyway, they don't like her. They're going to try to associate Melody with Keke's bullying, hateful behavior. And this is going to remind some people who didn't like Melody in seasons 1 and 2 why they didn't like her in the first place. A lot of women did not like Melody when she was married to Martell, okay? So Melody needs to get away from Keke, because Keke is volatile, she's unstable, she's reckless, and she literally has nothing to lose. So she's not really considering how her actions is affecting the people around her. And I'm not saying that Keke is a supervillain with no redeemable qualities. I know she's going through a lot right now, and I have a lot of sympathy for her because of this. I'm going to give her some grace, okay? Because she's going through an addiction issue, and it's a very challenging thing to get through. She's in a very dark place, so I have sympathy for her. But that is no justification for the way she treated Tisha, because what I saw was her being very vicious towards Tisha deliberately. It was intentional. She really tried to fuck with her cousin. She wanted to start a fight. So no matter what Tisha would have said or done, Keke would have attacked her because she feels like Tisha is winning right now. And she wants to put her back in her place by humiliating her with vicious gossip or a physical assault. There was no reason for her to do what she did other than bitterness, jealousy, and spite. And there are some people who don't like you. So they will look for any excuse to misinterpret or misconstrue what you're saying to them to justify attacking you, which is what they wanted to do in the first place. Okay? So watching that scene with Tisha really triggered me, because I have dealt with bullying in school and even at work. And it usually starts with other women using any excuse to pull you into an argument or a confrontation because you won't give them the satisfaction of kissing their ass by trying to get their approval, by trying to fit in with them, you know, by trying to play the little mind games for the sake of getting some sort of validation from them, okay? And so if you don't kiss their ass, and you don't care about their little cliques, their little clubs, and whatever they're doing in the office, because you have your own life and you're minding your own business, and you don't really respect them anyway because of how they are with the people that you're working with, and you can see how they interact with people around you, more than likely they will try to bully you into some sort of confrontation, okay? Side note, like, when I've been through these situations, I'm asking myself, who the fuck are you for me to try to impress and get cool with, especially since I know that you're a two-faced backstabber who doesn't like anyone who has a mind of their own and doesn't want to impress you. Like, this is why it's important to be selective about who you have in your circle, and don't feel guilty for setting boundaries and protecting yourself from dysfunction and chaos. Nobody has time to deal with the arguments and the petty fights when you got bills to pay, you got kids to raise, and other important, stuff to take care of. And as a matter of fact, I didn't have time for dysfunctional bullshit or nonsense regardless of that. So I didn't entertain any of that when I was a kid. And I damn sure won't do it as an adult. Some people got the game twisted. We all have the right to protect our peace of mind, our physical bodies, and, don't let anybody guilt you into forgiving them so that they can siphon your energy because they're bitter and empty. That's not your problem. And to be honest, even if you wanted to help them, these people who don't like you anyway wouldn't appreciate it. Or they take advantage of you because they don't respect you or value you in the first place. So I wish the fuck I would smile and Keke with somebody who doesn't like me, because Keke does not like Tisha for reasons that are deeper than just her exposing her drug addiction issues seasons ago. It's deeper than that. During the reunion last season, Tisha said that Melody had a dark spirit and she was evil because she couldn't forgive and keeps holding on to gripes from the past. And I stated that in our community, we are conditioned to take abuse from friends and family and coworkers and loved ones because a lot of us are afraid to be isolated, to be alone, to be different. And so we keep extending ourselves and our grace to people who can't help but to be jealous haters because they also need external validation. And it's a vicious cycle. Yes, as a community, it is important to have strong familial and social ties. It is. But the Black community, by and large, is drugged out and dysfunctional. And so we need to be more discerning about who we give our time and energy to. If I was Tisha, I would stay far away from Keke because she's one of those people who will look for an excuse to start shit publicly. You know those people who try to embarrass you in front of people you care about in the street on purpose, publicly? These are the ones who are always getting loud in front of company. They're always fighting in the street, starting shit, trying to embarrass you by putting your business out there. And, we saw during the scene that Keke just walked in and started telling everybody her business. Like, what is going on? Why is she even bringing this up right now? Because she wanted Tisha to look bad. She wanted to embarrass the fuck out of her. And when Tisha did not engage, she got triggered. And now I'm throwing drinks on you. I'm, throwing cards at you. I'm not even engaging with you. You want to start shit. So I'm going to say this. Melody may be in over her head in this situation when it comes to Tisha and Keke. Because at this point, Keke is a liability to herself and other people around her. Especially if she continues to act out the way she does. Because it seems like she wants to take Tisha down into the gutter with her. Now, again, I don't want Keke to feel like I'm attacking her and, she's worthless and she's a bad person. But her behavior was unacceptable. It was vicious and it was vile. And she tried to hurt her cousin. She has to be held accountable for that. And hopefully she can go to rehab and get the help she needs so that she doesn't feel so triggered by her cousin seeming to elevate in spite of her troubles and her downward spiral. This is what I said about Ariana Martell. I said that Ariana Martell wanted to put a black eye on Melody's reputation, which is why they kept spilling all of her tea. This is why Martell exposed Melody's abortion. This is why Ariana kept talking about Melody not being good at bed and so on and so forth. They wanted to make Melody look bad by embarrassing her. Martell was doing the same thing. That's how people in the gutter who were jealous and bitter fight. They would try to devalue you by embarrassing you, by putting out all your business. That is exactly what Martell was trying to do. Hence the sex tape 2 years after they divorced. I want to ruin your reputation. Your reputation is also currency. It's a part of your brand. You out here fighting your cousin on national TV like she's some hood rat in the street because you want to take her into the gutter with you. That is what Keke was trying to do. The same thing that Ariana Martell was trying to do to Melody. So now, I'm going to say this. I don't think that Melody has the same level of animosity towards Tisha that Keke does. I don't think so at all. And I don't think that Melody is going to support Keke bullying Tisha. But I will say this. When they were talking together and they were Kekeing it up, pun intended, about Tisha's business, it looked like Melody was also enjoying the tea being spilled. But for her own reason. Melody may have her own reasons for wanting Marceau's affair to be exposed because this was a point of contention for the past several seasons that Melody was lying on Tisha and trying to make her look bad. But Keke had different intentions. So now you're breaking bread with someone and sharing a scene with someone who has different intentions as you do, and it looks like you're both celebrating something bad happening to someone else. That's what it looks like. It may not be what it is, but now you're on camera. So things look different on camera than they may actually be in real life, okay? The camera may tell a different story because, editing is what it is. It's reality TV. So if Melody wants to preserve her brand and not be associated with Keke's foolishness and, not put the battery in her haters' backs, I think she should walk away from Keke and let Keke figure her shit out by herself. I don't think she should be breaking bread with her and smiling and laughing with her anymore about Tisha's business. You don't want to give people who don't like you anyway any ammunition to justify them not liking you. So if people start to have more sympathy for Tisha and they see her as an underdog and Keke as a bully, whoever is friends with Keke would also be considered an enemy to Tisha and also a bully. I'm just saying that that's just the way that it works. I already explained how. I'll give you one more example. Shanquella Robinson was surrounded by enemies. You guys know the story of this young lady who went on a trip to Mexico with her friends and she ended up dead. She had a group of people with her and some of them probably didn't like her. They were ambivalent toward her and some actually hated her. I don't think that all those people on that trip wanted to see her dead. I think some of them wanted to probably embarrass her, whatever. But unfortunately, there were some people on that trip who wanted to kill her. Now, the people who didn't really like her, they were ambivalent towards her, they were jealous a little bit, they're now associated with her killers. They're now considered accomplices in that crime because they're associating with somebody who has different intentions and motivations than they do. They may share animosity for the same person, but the why is different. And the depth of that animosity and hatred may also be different. And the nature of those feelings may also be different. So you have to be really careful with forging alliances with people based on how much they don't like somebody you don't like or you don't really care for. Be very careful about that. And I think that Melody knew Keke before the show started. But since the show has been on the air, we have seen the dynamic between Keke and Tisha and Melody and Tisha. And so, yeah, we can see this can end up being some sort of triangulation. And again, Keke is now a liability to Melody and her current state. As she is right now, messy and jealous and bitter and, you know, probably on some sort of drugs or whatever, Melody needs to fall back. And it's not about being a fake friend. That's not what it is. Because I'm not saying that Melody shouldn't support Keke in her time of need. However, I'm not going to support you at the expense of my own peace of mind. Okay? I'm not going to support you in bullying somebody else because you're hurting. I'm not doing that. As a friend, I wouldn't even condone that. So I think that Melody pulling back would not be her being a fake friend in some time. It's just her, you know, making sure that she's not condoning Keke's negative behavior and she's holding her accountable for that by pulling back from her and saying, I don't want to deal with that kind of mess. I don't, you know, want to associate with people who act like this. Now, Melody may have sympathy for Keke because she mentioned that her own sister had addiction issues. In season 2, she talked about it. I think her sister was on the show. So that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Keke's liability. Keke is not as concerned about Melody's brand, or her image, or her friendship in a sense, as she is about bringing down Tisha. In my opinion, I don't think that Keke cares about Melody's brand or her image being collateral damage in her war against Tisha. Because when someone has nothing to lose, whoever's associated with them gets wrapped in the bullshit as well. And again, it's not about being a fake friend or sometimey, but Keke's behavior was unacceptable. She was wrong as hell for how she treated Tisha. Period. Like her or not. I don't hate anybody on the show, regardless. And I don't condone bullying of any kind. I've said this more than once. I have the same energy towards Melody getting bullied as I do towards Tisha getting bullied. It's wrong all the way around, whether you like the person or not. That's my stance on it. So I don't have to like you to not want you to get bullied on TV. I don't have to dislike you to not want you to get bullied. That's irrelevant. Objectively speaking, my principle says I don't want anybody getting bullied for any reason. So that's why I'm going to defend Tisha in this situation, because she didn't do anything wrong. She tried to protect herself from her cousin and she was attacked for it. Nobody deserves to be attacked by their family on TV for trying to protect themselves and keep the peace in their life. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave it there. If I offended you guys or triggered anybody, I'm sorry. But it is what it is. I stand by what I said. I look forward to reading your feedback. And you guys know I'm going to read it. I want to read what you have to say. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will speak to you soon.